Welcome to the Nord Show, a podcast where we sit with creators and get their thoughts on all things movies, games, content creation. I am your host, Joe Aragon. You may know me on TikTok as Cinema Joe, and I'm joined today by Evan Edinger. We'll be chatting about their experience creating content, movies, games, content creation, everything in between, answering some questions from the Twitter community. Evan, how are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. A little bit hot up in London town, but ready to talk film.
Awesome. I'm very excited to talk about film today. I always am, but you picked two movies that I haven't had a chance to talk about with anybody. A lot of people have chosen some more mainstream, Marvel,
films.
Star Wars stuff.
Yeah.
You dove into some more, I guess, prestigious film. And,
Really?
You could probably say that a little bit more prestigious is something like, Spider-Man, I would say.
Yeah. Sure.
But before we dive into that, make sure to follow the show on Spotify, leave us a review on Apple, check out the YouTube channel. There's a link in the description of this episode to get a great deal on NordVPN. All right, Evan, before we jump into the movies, you're a content creator, a streamer. I want to know the genesis of Evan, the start. Where did it begin? Why did it begin? How did it begin?
So I think in 1989, my parents tried to have a baby, and then I was born in 1990.
Me too.
Oh, hell yeah. So essentially, I have actually wanted to start a podcast way back when podcasts were invented. And I wanted to just record my opinions on things and share my love for video game music. And as I was doing it, I couldn't figure out a way of recording just audio. The video came up as well. So I was like, I'll do YouTube as well. I like watching YouTube. And I've been doing it for 12 years at this point. It's a very long journey, but I just started growing, evolving, learning what I liked to make, sharing what I wanted to share. And then for the last 10 years, my journey has basically been American who moved to London, whose entire goal is to try and be a British citizen. And that's what I achieved last year. So now I'm both.
Okay. So many questions have popped into my brain. One is that you're an American that moved to the UK. Where are you from in the States?
Jersey.
South
Jersey.
Okay. South Jersey. And I've talked to a lot of guests who, they start their content creation career, a lot of people on YouTube. But the common response is, I started on YouTube and I was doing some skits with friends. I was, doing pranks, doing this. You said you started with video game music.
Yeah.
Why the music over maybe the just actual gameplay?
I just really, ever since I was a kid, I always loved video game music. It's been an underappreciated, I think, media form. So many of my favorite games growing up, I loved so much because the soundtracks were so beautiful. And I felt like people just assume, it's just background music. And I'm like, it's so much bigger than that. And so I always wanted to make video game music. That was like a dream growing up. And so I thought I could kind of make a podcast and use background music as video game music to kind of show my love for it. That was my initial thing. But that's how I essentially got on that. But since moved to just sharing whatever I think.
Yeah. Now, what were your videos about when you did the video game music movie or videos? Were they analysis, breakdowns? What were you talking about?
I don't think anyone was doing that content in 2010. I don't think
so either.
I actually started I made my YouTube account in 2006. And then in 2008, I started playing some video games, which, didn't do that great because it was me recording it with a point and shoot camera at the screen.
Yeah.
Flip
camera?
Exactly. Oh, I never got the flip camera. It was too spenny. I went to Best Buy. I went the cheapest camera. But then eventually I started spending money. I got a nice camera. I remember my stepdad was so furious that I spent money on a camera instead of a car because cameras are never going to get me girls or success.
Mm-hmm.
Joke's on him.
Interesting.
But here I am. And it weirdly was never analysis. It was mostly I was hoping to subtly influence people in the background. And then I got terrified of YouTube copyright and stopped immediately.
Yeah, that was the day before the copyright really came into play.
Yeah.
I have to know now, what video games are we talking about? What were the big influences on you to create the channel? What games?
So Donkey Kong Country 2, Diddy's Conquest, the classic. You got Chrono Trigger, Super Mario RPG, Yoshi's Island. Those are a lot of the old ones that I really liked in terms of the music.
Okay. I was expecting like an Ocarina of Time. No Ocarina of Time. I feel like that's the one that really sticks out to me in terms of music.
It did. I really liked the soundtrack from Ocarina of Time. I also really loved the soundtrack from Breath of the Wild. But I actually was very late to the Zelda train. I never played
Mhm.
Zeldas growing up until maybe 17 or 18, and my first one was Twilight Princess, and my
Oh,
second one was Ocarina of Time. And if you've played both, they're very much the same game, except one
yeah.
has like a wolf. And so I literally was kind of put off with Zelda games because I was like, it's just the same game. Why would anyone play these? And then I realized that I just happened to choose two that were supposed to rip off each other in a way.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But I
Okay,
loved, yeah, I
okay.
loved Ocarina of Time. It was a beautiful game. But I didn't have as much nostalgia for it as much as the Donkey Kongs or the Marios or the
Mhm.
Metroids.
Very, very fair, very fair. Now, I think a lot of people might wonder, and I'm wondering myself, why the transition from the States to the UK? Was there a particular reason that you felt like you wanted to pursue a career in the UK over the States? You know, a lot of people would argue, oh, go to LA, go to New York. I mean, you're in Jersey, you're so close to New York. Why the UK?
Well, so I was actually on the Philly side of New Jersey. So like we hate New
Oh, okay,
York, we
okay.
love Philadelphia. It's a very small state with huge clash. So
That's
I
fair.
did actually plan on like I was looking into moving to LA possibly to find some sort of job. I was serving pizzas at a Pizza Hut for like 5 years, and I figured, wow, if I move to California, instead of making $2.13 an hour plus tips, I can make $8 plus tips. I'd be Jeff Bezos in the future. And that
Yeah.
was my original plan while doing YouTube. But things fell apart with the group I was trying to move to LA with. And after I graduated, I realized I was actually really good at the thing that I was studying in university, which was mathematics for operations research. And my
Wow.
professor was like, you could take this to become an actuary, which is one of the best paid jobs in the world, become a human calculator. And I was like, fine. So I started looking at universities and I applied to Boston University, which has a really good one, and to
Hmm.
one in London. Both accepted me, and I kind of weighed my options. And I thought, if I go to the one in London, it's a once in a lifetime opportunity to spend more than like a couple weeks abroad. So I'll do
Yeah.
that, and then I'll come back. And I never came back because it was great over here. So
Interesting.
that is
Okay. Well,
essentially
that's
what
a
happened.
great story. Great story. How has your content changed now? I mean, are you still making videos on video game music, or what are you doing now that you have shifted your focus to?
Well, I think the only way you can really survive on YouTube or any platform really is to adapt, grow, pivot. If you make the same thing forever, eventually people will dislike the thing that they originally liked because you've not really shown any sort of change. Especially a lot
Hmm.
of people, because I've been on the platform for so long, I've seen so many creators rise and fall. The ones that stay are the ones that are kind on the way up and also are willing to learn and change. And so I started off with different opinions. I moved on to different topics regardless of what was coming up. I reviewed sometimes a TV show, or I just talk about, I do a vlog, what's going on in my life.
Hmm.
And then I found this niche by accident, which was just talking about interesting stuff that would come up in conversations at the pub, which would be like comparing British and American things. So we'd be like, oh, wait, you guys don't have lockers in the UK? Why? Where do you store your things? And so those conversations I found so interesting that I was like, I'm just going to record some for my YouTube, and then those blew up. So I was like, oh, okay. So now over time, I've slowly adjusted, and I do a bit more research heavy ones. I'll look into interesting topics that, like I said, I find them interesting to talk about at the pub. That's what I like,
Mm.
where it's like, oh, I didn't know that. So about Europe, about the UK, about the US, or anything else that I think is interesting.
Okay. Okay. Uh, I saw you had a Twitch channel. Are you streaming on Twitch often, or are you just it's more of like a casual thing here and there?
Yeah, you introduced me as a streamer, and I was like, oh, I was streaming very regularly for about 3 years, and then in August of this past year, I basically went homeless in a way because I had nowhere
Hmm.
to live for about 6 months, and I was constantly bouncing around to different Airbnbs, waiting to go through the house buying process in the UK, which is really really rough. And so during that period, I wasn't able to stream, obviously. It was hard enough to keep it together and keep my YouTube channel running. And then
Yeah.
now that I've moved in here, I've had 6 months to set up. I muted that. Now that I've had 6 months to set up, I've not yet gone back to Twitch streaming. I find streaming was really enjoyable because I love video games so much. I love being able to share them. But in regards to platforms, I find Twitch is the worst of all of them. They're bad with their creators. They're bad with growth, and also it's in terms of like working. As much as I enjoyed it, it is such a time intensive thing. And if you're not putting in incredible hours every single week constantly, there is no chance of becoming anything or growing. And it's it's a bit demoralizing and demotivating. Whereas I know a couple friends that really tried to make Twitch their job for a living, and they were okay at first, but they were never social. They couldn't hang out ever. It was always
Yeah.
Twitch streaming. Oh, do you want to go to the pub? Oh, I'm sorry, I got a Twitch stream some Fortnite. What about the next night? Always doing it. And I didn't
Wow.
want to lose my relationships or also other hobbies. I'm into so many different hobbies that I felt like if I do Twitch streaming, it would have to be like once, twice a week max. So at this point, I'm not doing it at all, but I'll be back
Got it.
eventually.
Okay. Okay. What were you streaming before you stopped? What, were you doing like just chatting? Were you
So I did.
specific genre?
I loved streaming, chatting, but most of the time it was just a video game that I was really interested in that had come out. So I've gone through like all the original Donkey Kong games, the new ones as well. I did Last of Us, little Horizon Zero Dawn, a lot of multiplayer. I did a lot of Fortnite at one point in time. I was very addicted to that game. Online multiplayer games really hurt me because like I want to experience new stories, but they're so addictive. And the thing I don't like
Yes,
about them
they
is
are.
that I never actually there's no end. You just keep going forever. And I'd much rather
Yeah.
play new stories and experience new things. As much as it's fun to play RuneScape and such, I just know I can't touch it.
Well, you and I, we born the same year, so I'm just going to make a safe assumption that you and I kind of grew up in the heyday of the start of the online scene
Yeah.
of video games. I remember my first big online game was Halo 2,
Oh,
and then that naturally graduated to Halo 3.
Halo 3 was
Uh,
OG.
yeah, that's where like things really took off for the online world. Then I was playing Gears of War, Gears of War 2, all of that stuff. So I completely understand. Like, yeah, you can be on that for hours and hours, infinity, and then it'd be nicer to play something
But
story
it's still
wise.
fun. Like I've
It is still
nothing
fun.
as long as you enjoy yourself, shouldn't matter. I put countless hours into like Combat Evolved, which was they had it for Mac, and my family was a Mac
Oh
family.
yeah.
So like, I'd play with all 3 players that were on it. It's great.
Yeah, I did check your Twitch stream out just to see like what you were playing recently, whether it was a year ago or not.
That's all
And
right.
I saw that you had touched Amnesia. And
Oh yeah, I did
that
do
was
Amnesia.
that was a game I've been dying to play, but as someone who loves horror stuff, I also hate horror stuff. I hate putting myself in that position.
No, I think you'd love it. It is really scary. Like they do such a good job with like you'll just, especially if you play it with headphones, the sound design's great. So you could hear a floorboard crack and be like,
oh,
and
yeah.
it's not like one of those like purposefully jump scare type games, but it just inherently is because it's
Okay.
such a scary. The enemy is mostly like you see him kind of, but it's more scary in your mind.
Interesting. Okay, I've been looking for something like that to play. I'm currently playing The Quarry, which I'm
heard it's good.
enjoying. Yeah, it's good so far. So, but I want something a little more scary, and people keep recommending Amnesia, so I thought I'd just check in with you.
That is like
you've had
the game. That was like a big one
Ugh.
for YouTubers back in the day, just screaming on
Okay.
camera.
All right, Amnesia. Well, you've done a really great job building this community. What's one of the things that you love about your community? What's one of your favorite things?
Well, I really like how my community, for the most part, very much doesn't agree with me on everything. Like everyone has their like own opinions, and if I had a community in which whatever I said people agreed with, I would be very annoyed because it would be like speaking into a vacuum, a hole of narcissism to myself. And even like recently, I made a video everyone disagreed with. And it's okay. I can have opinions that people go, you're wrong and I hate you. That's okay. As long as like I find most people are very respectful when I have opinions I disagree with, which this one was the BBC. I just happened to make a video about the British broadcasting sea. I didn't grow up with it, so I don't have any nostalgia around the broadcasting. And well, they really, really, really do. And so even if I speak statistics or logistics, That doesn't matter to some people, and that's
Yes, of
okay.
course.
I'm trying to think of a good analogy, but I can't. But yeah, I really enjoy my community and their ability to basically be themselves regardless of who they're watching, and that's a good community in my opinion.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, if you speak into an echo chamber, you really get no new ideas. And
Yeah.
as somebody who is, very involved in film criticism, yeah,
Oh
if you
yeah.
talk to somebody who agrees with you all the time, it's not going to be I,
Sometimes it's
helpful to
interesting
anybody.
to watch those reviews where people slate a film that you love because you want to see like what they're wrong about. no,
Yeah.
no, like I very much I've reviewed some films on my YouTube channel, and I pretty much only do it if I absolutely love it or absolutely hate it. And
Fair.
I absolutely hated Greatest Showman. Thought it was the worst film I'd ever seen. I was so upset with how terrible the writing was, and people would be like, "But it made me feel good." And I'm like, "That's good, but you have to
Yeah.
understand how poor the writing was, right? Like they broke every rule in a bad way." And
Yeah.
God, did I get hate for that? Like, this film made me feel happy, and you can't say it's bad. You can enjoy bad films. There's so many bad
Yeah,
films.
you can.
People love The Room.
Yeah,
That's a bad film. So
exactly.
I've never seen it actually.
Ironically, I haven't seen The Greatest Showman, but I've had
Okay,
many people
that's
tell
good for
me,
you.
"Oh yeah, it's really fun." But I've read reviews and that it's really bad. But people love the soundtrack. They love
That's the
singing
thing.
it.
You'll like the soundtrack, but I just found so much of the storyline very contrived. Like
Mm.
Deus Ex, not Deus, Machina. The thing where basically like, oh no, what are we gonna do? Some at the last second just happens to have a
Oh yeah,
solution. Not even like
Deus Ex
introduced.
Machina.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
God damn. Yeah, it's not a
Well, I
good
don't want to
film.
get you more frustrated about Greatest Showman, and instead let's pivot to movies that I think you might like.
All right.
I sent you a list essentially of movies to choose from. You didn't respond with a typical choice, but you responded with two movies I do love
Oh yeah.
very dearly. And that was Whiplash and La La Land. I guess why these two? Out of all the movies in the entire world you could have chosen, you chose these two, and why these ones?
Well, I didn't mean to accidentally choose two, was it Damien Chazelle films? I mean, I was thinking like Ferris Bueller's Day Off has always been a big one for me. Like, there's a couple old
Well
ones that I
done.
loved, but there's just the experience of watching Whiplash is it
Mhm.
gives you whiplash.
Yeah.
It's so well structured. It's so incredibly tense. And my friend Sammy once explained it like it's literally a film about a drummer trying to be a good drummer, and you're at the edge of your seat the whole time. No one will. If you try
Yeah.
and explain that to someone, they're gonna be like, "What do you mean? How is that exciting?" It's literally a drummer going to school trying to be a good drummer, and you're like, like it's so stressful, but in a good way, and it has such a satisfying, cathartic ending. And I just love everything about it. The music, the acting is, it's just really, really perfect. Also, La La
Yeah.
Land, following up on that. I've seen that film like 11, 12 times. I just always
Wow.
love it. I have enjoyed the way that the storyline is presented. The music's really great, and it's a very beautiful film. And there's something about the main character's like goal. Yeah, I felt it was very relatable. And to find that like these two lovers had found each other, but at wrong times in their lives, and so even though they both love each other and are probably perfect for each other, in this life that they had, they actually couldn't exist, and that is such like a tragic thing to me because I think there's so many people out there in your life that you are very close to at the moment, and you couldn't see yourself not being friends or being girlfriend or whatever with them, and then 5 years later, who knows what happens? You might look back and go, "Wow, they're not in my life anymore," and that
Mhm.
makes me sad. And that's why I liked the film because it made me really
Yeah,
sad.
that's a really good explanation of La La Land and Whiplash. I'm gonna go back
Spoilers.
to Whiplash for just one
All
second.
right.
Spoilers are totally allowed. I
All
mean,
right.
the movie's been out for like 6, 7 years for both of them, at least. Uh, the ending to Whiplash, they're very. I mean, many people I know and talk to, almost everybody loves Whiplash to an extent. I don't know many people who are anti Whiplash or who don't like the movie, but I do get a lot of back and forth on the ending. A lot of people are like,
The smile.
well, it's okay. I don't like it. Just a smile. It's a very intense moment. No words really spoken. How do you feel about the ending?
I felt like it was the exact ending that I wanted, slash, I felt like it needed. Like, there was no
Yeah.
need for any words or anything. All that he needed was that look of, like, yeah, like, you fucking, like, I did this, but also you did this. You're great. Like, you've done it. Like, I don't know. I'm getting chills. I thought it was just
No, I
the
think it's
perfect
perfect
ending.
too.
I don't know if you've seen Uncut Gems, but it has similar energy, except with Uncut Gems, you are at the edge of your seat feeling like you want to die for the entire film. And then at the ending, the release, you're like, thank God I'm released from this, but also I don't feel good. So very similar, but different endings.
Yeah, no, that's a good comparison. I love Uncut Gems as well. Like you said, very stressful.
Oh,
The
God.
ending is a little relief because it's ending. Transitioning to La La Land, I get more reactions to that ending being not satisfactory.
Very 50-50. People hate it. Yeah.
Very 50-50, and that's very, I think, common because they don't end up together.
Yeah.
How do you feel? Do you think that they should have ended up together? Do you like the ending to that one?
Yeah, like I said, I think the ending to La La Land was perfect. It set your expectations up, and it is supposed to be a romantic love film. But in the end, there are a lot of relationships that you have in which, in this case, she had a decision and he had a decision. Both of them either have to follow their dreams or be in love with each other, and there wasn't really an intersection of those. Like that's why I thought it was so great. A lot of people hate that bit of the ending where it shows what their life would have been like, and Ryan, what's his name?
Gosling.
Ryan Gosling's character would have had to give up on all his dreams. Like he would have just been, in love with her. They would have had kids. It would have been great, but he would have just been in her shadow. And if he and her both want to see their dreams together, they can't be together. And that is that rough reality that is real for a lot of people in the creative industry. And same with her. Like if she didn't take that job and go to France or whatever, then she probably wouldn't be who she was at the end as well. So yeah. It's a bit of an upsetting ending, and a lot of people just want that bow tie happy ending. But I think that's what made this one great, was that it explained as well, here's the bow tie ending, here's why it doesn't work. And I still cry because it's like, come on. but yeah, that's what made it good.
I mean, that's a common reaction, and I think you explained it perfectly in the sense that it's the reality of people who want these kind of lives and really make sacrifices. And sometimes that sacrifice is potential a soulmate or a partner. Well said. Well said. I was going to ask if you like musicals, because La La Land is a musical, but then you ripped on Greatest Showman. So now I'm not sure. Do you typically like musicals? Are you not a musical person?
Well, I've been in a few musicals in the high school. I've been like My Fair Lady, Damn Yankees, Once Upon a Mattress. I was big into singing as a kid. But in terms of, I love going to the theater and watching a musical, but I've not seen too many good films of musicals. Like, I have made a video about how much I love Dear Evan Hansen, the musical, because it's great. The film, burp there. The film kind of fell flat with me a lot. I still enjoyed it a lot, but nothing compares to seeing it on Broadway. So, pause for
okay.
But yeah, so
that's fair.
There are some musicals that I really love, like the Matt Stone and Trey Parker. They're
the Mormon one.
Book of Mormon.
Book of Mormon.
Book of Mormon is amazing. 10 out of 10. Hilarious musical. And I've seen like Wicked and lots of stuff, which is okay. It's good. But films, La La Land was a rare one where I was like, wow, I love this. Most of the time when I watch a film that's also a musical, I find it's like Land Before Time, like 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, where you're kind of like, a little cringe a little bit. Like, just get to the story a little bit.
Okay. I haven't seen too many things on Broadway. I mean, I've never been in New York. I've been to LA to watch Wicked.
Okay, yeah. I've seen that in London.
But movie-wise, I mean, Mamma Mia, kind of enjoy Mamma Mia. It's a pretty fun one.
Here we go again.
Grease, old school, but it's Grease. I enjoy Grease. But then there's other ones I really don't care for, and that's like, I'm kind of a Hairspray fan. I've watched one time, but I'm kind of in the same camp as you, where I enjoyed watching it in person at a play, but not so much movie.
Did you enjoy Les Miserables?
Which version? The most recent one I guess I've seen is the one with Hugh Jackman. I liked it. I didn't love it, but I liked it.
I have only seen half of it because I had a friend that was playing on the West End, and I was so late because I was job interviewing that I only showed up at the intermission. And so I had no idea who anyone was, why everyone was dying. And I was just like,
Oh
this
no.
film makes no sense. A musical makes no sense. That's my own fault. I need to watch it, give it a proper watch through.
I mean, I feel like Les Miserables is one of those movies, one of those plays. It has so much history that
Yeah.
there's a lot of people who are just diehard fans of its history and its so many iterations of it. I have no attachment to it, so that's like the first time I'd ever watched it. So it wasn't that big of a deal to me as I think to other people it might be. So that's my only issue.
I do think it's really important that we are making musicals into films, because the idea of going to see a musical is a very privileged thing to be able to do. Like, I live in London.
Yes.
I can just pop to the West End real easy. But people that live up in the north, or people in the US, it's a huge country, not everyone is going to be able to see that authentic experience. And so I do like that we're able to produce the film versions of them so that people can experience that bit of art, not necessarily the same way, but comparably.
No, I think that is an excellent point. I think just even recently, as of this week, so there is a Matilda musical, very popular musical from what I understand. I have never had a chance to see it, never had an opportunity to go watch it. And then this week they announced, all right, Netflix is releasing the Matilda musical. Emma Thompson is going to be Miss Trunchbull. So that's a perfect example of like, yeah, I've never had a chance to see it, but now everybody's going to have access to it on Netflix in a month. So
using today's video sponsor.
I know, right? Netflix, do you want to hit us up? You can sponsor us.
I was talking about NordVPN. What?
Oh yeah, that too. All right. Anything else about Whiplash, about La La Land? I mean, I'm just more surprised that, like I said prestigious only because these two movies were nominated for Oscars, as opposed to other movies I've been able to talk about. Do you find yourself ever lean towards movies that have a lot more acclaim than the more generic mainstream films?
I watch films not because of the number of reviews they get, really. Like, I didn't watch Whiplash after the Oscars. I watched it before. And same with, I actually was supposed to go to the premiere of La La Land in LA. And instead I saw Lady Gaga perform. What a bad decision. I didn't know if I'd like the film. And, well, sure. But either way, so most of the time I will kind of judge based on certain YouTube reviews of a film, maybe, or I also, I don't know if this is an unpopular opinion, but I don't watch movie trailers. I just don't.
Oh, it's okay. This is actually growing to be a very common practice, I think. And I'm curious to know, well, why don't you?
Well, I just don't go out of my way to watch them. So if I'm at the cinema and there is an ad, which is a trailer, I'll be like, oh, cool. That's pretty much my only way to watch trailers. But I don't go out of my way. And so that means that I have completely fresh eyes. The amount of film producers that make trailers that spoil so many of the jokes or so many of the main story points is unbelievable. And so I really enjoy that when I go to see a film, I don't know literally anything about it. And that makes it so much more enjoyable.
Wow. As somebody who's kind of too involved in the film world, I wish I could do that. That would be really hindering my growth if I don't watch something and have comments about it. But I think that for people who maybe not super involved in the film world, and they can avoid it, it's a great idea, like you said. I mean, to go into a movie as blind as possible would be such a refreshing feeling, because there are, like you said, a lot of trailers that spoil jokes, big action sequences, movies, even plot points.
When does this podcast air?
This will probably air, I would imagine, sometime in July.
Oh, perfect. July. So I saw Lightyear the other day, and that's coming out tomorrow. And
yeah, I saw it last night too.
Oh yeah, all right. So
yeah, I've seen it.
Listen, no spoilers, but I was rooting for Zurg. All I'm saying is,
interesting.
As soon as they introduced some moral quandary, I just looked at the screen and went, "Is that the moral?" They just met. I don't know. Also, they won't be sad. They won't. I don't want to spoil. So I don't know. I pretty much was of the camp of I couldn't get on board once the storyline hit that bit of climax, because I just felt like the main character's motivation was so shallow. Well, not shallow, but I was like, pause and think about this for a bit. I don't know. I've loved Dark on Netflix. I had similar energy in terms of that certain aspect.
That aspect, yes. Okay. Well, as someone who's seen Lightyear, I can completely understand where you're coming from, and I know it's still gonna be a brand new movie-ish by the time this comes out. It might even come out later in July, who knows?
Mhm.
But we won't spoil too much. My initial reaction, though, I liked it, didn't love it.
Same.
There are issues with it. Not my favorite Pixar movie. Not even my favorite Pixar movie come out this year. So,
Enjoyable.
yeah, okay,
Had a good time.
enjoyable. Exactly, and
That's how I rate films, pretty much. Like people ask me like nitty gritty, and I'm like, if I go to the cinema and I walk out going, that was fun, then it was a good film to me. Sure, I can nitpick lots of things, but I went, that was fun. You know, at the end of the day, the only times when I don't do that, where I'm like, that was not fun. Or the other thing I have is if I experience an emotion, if watching moving pictures on a screen is able to elicit a fear, a sadness, a happiness, I feel like they've done a really good job at their art form. And I'm like, good job.
Yeah, well said. All right, well, let's take a quick ad break because we're going to keep talking about tons of movies, and we're going to get into more after the ad and talk about some of your top threes.
Ooh.
So we'll be right back. Are you missing out on your favorite show because it's not available in your region? Trying to keep your private time private? Well, let me introduce you to NordVPN. If you're bored of US Netflix, why not take a spin on the UK? Use NordVPN, and at a click of a button, you can do just that. With over 5,000 server options, no show is out of your reach. We all love to binge, but privacy is a big deal too. NordVPN keeps your information encrypted, so you never have to worry about your IP or location ever getting out. Make sure to use Evan's link in the description of this episode to get a great deal on NordVPN and support Evan's channel. All right, Evan, I've been asking all my guests this, and it's turned out really great every time. I want to know first your top 3 movies that you think everyone should watch once in their life, one time at least. Could be anything. Could be bad movies. Could be good movies. Could be important movies. Could be less important movies. What are some movies you think everybody should watch once?
That is a really difficult. That's a really difficult question. Damn. I actually have no idea. You asked me to do 3, and I can't think of one. I think saying that you have to watch this is that's such a big thing. So I already chose my favorites because I thought they're really great stories. But if you could only watch one film, it depends on who you are. I guess everyone has a different answer, but I actually do not have. What have other people said? I'm so curious.
Well, it depends. Some people will say like as common as like you need to watch Toy Story 1, or you have to watch like The Shawshank Redemption. Everybody needs to watch The Shawshank Redemption one time in their life. You know, it's that movie everybody should watch. Get a lot of Pulp Fictions is a common answer. Pulp Fiction.
I really enjoyed The Green Mile.
Green Mile. That's an excellent choice.
The Green Mile was
cry your eyes out.
Exactly. It's one of those long. I really enjoy films that make me cry because my first thought instinctively was Up, because that film really messed me up and helped me with my expectations for animations. And I watched it and then bought it, and I was like, this is such a beautiful piece. Also, the fact that there wasn't much dialogue and it was just music, and they managed to convey so much in that initial sequence. So I really loved Up. Green Mile as well, for films that just make me cry. I was trying to think of other films that have just made me bawl my eyes out that I have to like try not to think because I don't want to cry. I did cry. Well, that was for me La La Land. I also cried at Toy Story 3. So
a good one. Toy Story 3 is an emotional ride.
What's that Spanish one? Loco. Coco. The Pixar.
Coco is rough.
Coco was one where like I'm at like this influencer event, and I'm just trying to like keep a straight face, and I'm like this. Why is everyone crying?
Yeah.
You know,
as someone who's spent many times ranking things on social media and ranking movies that make people cry, I think I've ranked Coco in the top 3.
Yeah, it's
almost every single
really
time.
Gets me.
It's a tough one. Okay.
Oh,
the other
Big Fish. I don't know if you've seen Big Fish, but that one always.
I love Big Fish.
Oh my god! Yet again.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I'm just thinking of films that make me cry really bad that I want to see again now. That I'm like, you have to watch. About Time is a
Love
beautiful
About
piece.
Time.
Oh
Love
my
About Time.
God. Like, it just gets me every time. And it's such a beautiful, like, play on, like, real life, even though you think it's about supernatural stuff at first. And then it's like, oh no, we only have one life. Use your time wisely. So
Yeah. That's the thing about Time is that it really sneaks up on you because
it
it's
does.
kind of like advertised as this romantic comedy, which it is. Donald Gleason and Rachel McAdams
Yeah.
are falling in love, but there's the aspect with his father that really
Yeah.
just comes out not doesn't come out of nowhere. Just you're not really prepared for, and then you
Mhm.
get to the end and they have those like final moments together. Spoilers for people who have seen About Time. Very very emotional. Yeah,
Yeah.
Big Fish as well. Huge fan of Big Fish. That ending always gets me.
Yep.
Always gets me.
So there you go.
All right, good
I'm into
choices.
sad films.
We'll change the question to 3 movies that always make you cry.
There we go.
We
Yeah.
got 5 of them, so perfect. The other one was 3 guilty pleasure movies. 3 movies that your audience would be like, "Whoa, Evan likes that movie." That's kind of surprising. I'm a little surprised to hear that. This kind of is impeding into a question we got from Twitter, which was, "What's your favorite quote unquote bad film?" So it's kind of a dual question. What's your favorite bad films or guilty pleasure movies?
I actually don't really watch many films for disliking them. I don't have any films that I
Okay.
specifically hate watch. I might have YouTube videos. Absolutely, I do. I will watch
Okay.
lots of different YouTube videos just to be like, this is so bad. It's so funny. A lot of friends I know have that as well. But films, that's such a commitment to watch a full film that you don't enjoy or that you enjoyed hating on. But yeah, no, in terms of that,
Are you a secret
surprising film.
Morbius fan?
I guess if I want to play into the meme, we've all seen it. It's Morbin time. But no, I do not go out of my way to watch Marvel films. I try and watch the bare minimum to keep me informed
Interesting.
with the memes. I
Yeah.
find them pretty much, it's just like a cookie cutter. And as someone who's seen too many films, it's just everyone is just too predictable, except for the Avengers ones. And that's why I really enjoyed
Okay.
those. When they poofed everyone away at the end of the one Avengers film, I was like, wow, okay, like, cool. Like, because that was just not expected. And I find watching the Spider-Man films, they're great. They're lovely. But I know how it goes. And I
Yeah.
like these newer films that aren't so predictable in a way.
Yeah, very fair. Yeah, that's a common response to a lot of them, including myself, where it feels like at the end of the day, the hero defeats the villain, everybody kind of goes home.
But the Iron
happy.
Man films were great. I think that's because they were my first Marvel films. So I was like, wow. But yeah.
I like Iron Man 1, was not a fan of Iron Man 2. Iron Man 3 is decent.
Fair.
But yeah, I think any of them that include any really big sacrifice, if there's something at stake, there's
Mhm.
something that potentially they can lose, and they do lose it, is the ones I tend to really like.
Yeah.
Those ones. That's why I really like Thor Ragnarok, where
That was great, though.
his Odin kind of dies in a sense. He loses his hammer, so there's a lot of stakes at hand that actually happen.
Any Taika Waititi film is good.
Yes, perfect. Okay. So we kind of talked about these Twitter questions. We did get one more, and I think it's a really interesting question that you might have really good insight on. And the question is, how has YouTube changed the movie space? There are countless of critiques and reaction channels. Do you think those are good or bad for movies?
I think that I think that YouTube critics are good for films because regardless, they're getting people more engaged with films in general.
Exactly.
And so you could say the same thing when newspapers existed, when people started posting opinions on things. It's informing people. Maybe someone watched the film and enjoyed it, but wanted to hear someone else's take on it. They can then possibly learn more about so there was a bit of continuity error, and I don't notice that usually. So I think it's a good way, honestly, for people to just learn about what makes great films great. In terms of reaction ones, no, I don't really find that content useful to anyone. It's kind of not, and this is just my opinion, but just reacting to something isn't transformative, and it isn't quite like great necessarily, unless you're breaking it down in between every thumbnail face. But just my opinion.
We took the words out of my mouth. I completely agree with you
But
on that.
also, I think interestingly enough, YouTube has meant that we now have lots of creators that are getting so large. Sometimes film industries are like, oh, they've got a following. They can act. Why don't we throw them in a film? And I think most of the time that's been a bad decision. Like most of the time, it's like, oh, there she did it. She said that line. But other times, I think it's been okay. I've had a couple friends
Okay.
that have been in some films, animated films, just doing a line or two, and I'm like, that's cool. But I think we'll have to see what happens in the future on that one.
Well, I mean, that's the second part of the question is what do you think of the portrayal or what do you think of YouTubers and social
Oh,
media influencers being in films? Do you think that's going to be a bigger part of the future? And is that a good or bad thing?
well, I really enjoyed Free Guy, the Ryan Reynolds film. I saw it twice. I liked the concept, and I thought it was very funny. Enjoyed myself. Now, sorry, I
You
didn't
good?
really enjoy like they had like loads of like Twitch streamers and YouTubers in the ending bit. And you know what? I was super stoked for that. Like as a creator myself, I was watching it and I was like tapping my girlfriend, like, I know that guy. That's Sean. That's the top of the morning team. Like I was like, oh my god, I know him too. That's Ninja. So like I was freaking out. Which I'm sure the movie producers are like, yes. But you know what? Sure. I was the demo and I enjoyed that because it was an inclusion. They were able to be themselves. Sure, it was kind of a bit like be a little bit two dimensional, but you know what? As a stepping stone, I thought that was great. Also, if you've seen Mitchell versus the Machines, the Mitchells
Love
versus
that
the
movie.
Machines, I really love that film because it did feel like the YouTube journey. Like she wanted to become some sort of YouTuber in a way, move to LA and follow her dreams. And like I felt that was very relatable. And they also had lots of influencer voices throughout that film, and I thought they did a great
Oh,
job.
cool.
So
Okay. I think you make a good point. It really depends on the context of it all. It works in Free Guy because of its context, and
yeah,
same with Mitchell's vs. Machines. Uh, but how about something like He's All That, which was a Netflix movie
uh,
that starred popular influencer Addison Rae. Now was completely panned and destroyed online, but she was cast in it because of her influence. What do you think the future holds for big influencers getting their own movies?
I don't know who Addison Rae is, so I'll just throw that out there.
That's fair.
And I also have never heard of He's the Guy, but maybe that's not my demo. I'm sure it's enjoyable to some people.
Mhm.
But I do find that there will always be people out there, creators and whatnot, that will just say yes to any sort of thing because they're like, oh, sweet, fame, even if they're not necessarily suited for it. There was loads of drama in back in the day because everyone and their mother wanted to be an author all of a sudden, and every YouTuber was like, "Check out my book on cooking." I've never done a cooking video, but now you know I love cooking, and it feels inauthentic. And so I think the issue with creators being in films like where they don't actually get a full say is that it's not really theirs anymore, and it's very obvious that they're not really in this for the acting or for the passion, but more for the paycheck. Otherwise, I would assume, like if I got the chance to be in a film like that, I would feel so anxious about it. I feel like I'd have to go to like acting classes every other day to make sure that I was at least doing the best I can.
Yeah. No, I think you brought up a lot of good points. Whether or not their heart is in it for the right reason is obviously important. And yeah, I mean, we'll see in the future if we get more of those movies. I mean, that movie came out 20 last year, I think. It's on Netflix. If you're ever really bored and want to throw something on, it could be a good reaction video, maybe.
There we go.
But we'll see what the future holds with influencers and their movies. But it's a little too early to tell, I guess. Well, we have reached the end, Evan. I have to cut us off because if we keep talking, we're going to go over another hour, I think.
Oops.
But we could probably keep talking forever about movies. First, I want to thank you so much for being here. I had a great time. Hope you had
Thanks
a
for
great
having
time
me.
as well. We'll link all of your information in the description of the episode. And of course, follow the NordVPN YouTube channel, Spotify, Apple, drop reviews. And we'll be back next week with a new episode. Evan, have a great day.
Have a
Everybody
nice day.
watching, listening, have a
Thanks for
good
having
one.
me.
We'll see you guys next week.
Cheers.